All right, so here's a little background information before you start today. So, this is called We Found Something in Cuba. Cuba! It's a country. It's very close to the United States, only about 90 miles from Florida. So, one of our next door neighbors, yeah, we don't share a land border with them, but over the ocean, it's really not that far. Ever since the Spanish American War, when we last heard about Cuba, it had been under basically U.S. partial control, where we had a little bit of say in how their government worked. And that means we have kind of an interest in what's going on there. Now, here's the deal Cuba has a dictator that we like. That dictator, Batista, the people of Cuba don't really like. So, the people of Cuba decide to back a different guy. His name was Fidel Castro. And what ends up happening eventually throughout the 50s, but eventually in 1959, is Fidel Castro becomes the leader of Cuba. He overthrows a government that we like and puts in his own. And it just so happens that this government is communist. Now, I think you might know where this is leading. If the government of Cuba is communist, who's going to be their friend? If you answered the Soviet Union, you're 100% correct. Yes, they start to form a little bit of an alliance with the Soviet Union because they're both communist. Well, the United States doesn't like that. We don't like communists at this time, and we want to try to prevent communism from spreading. So in early 1961, the United States tries to overthrow Castro, tries to get rid of communism in Cuba. And what we did was we gave supplies and plans for 1,300 people who had been kicked out of Cuba during their revolution, who didn't like Castro. They were exiled or sent away from their country. And we said, here, take this and try to overthrow Castro. So we do that, and we send them over there to a place called the Bay of Pigs, which in Spanish is it's just a literal translation of the bay in Spanish. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because I know I'm going to do it wrong. Now here's the deal: the exiles who are supplied and given plans by the United States get there, and it's almost an immediate failure. They get nowhere near Castro. Castro is completely prepared. Spies have done their job. They know it's coming, and they head this off. Now, the president of the U.S. at the time when this happens, early 1961, is John F. Kennedy. He ends up taking the full blame for this, even though probably not warranted because he may have given the last authorization to do this, but there were plenty of other people who before him who helped plan it as well. So this Bay of Pigs invasion happens and fails. So the United States wants to keep good tabs on what Cuba's doing because they're obviously friendly with the Soviet Union, who we hate because Cold War. So in 1962, there had been some US spy planes flying over Cuba in that year. And what they find is they start taking pictures of what's going on in Cuba, and what they're looking at looks a little bit concerning. So, in the little simulation you're going to do today, and the decision making exercise you're going to do today, you're going to have to figure out what you want to do. Well, what's going on? Missiles. Missile, missile, missile. And this one, IRBM, intermediate range ballistic missile. So this is all about missiles. What do you think might be on the end of those missiles? If you said a nuclear weapon, you're absolutely correct. Look, here's a nuclear warhead bunker that's under construction. Again, US spy planes took all of these pictures to try to figure out what was happening in Cuba. Now, with Cuba being so close to the United States, obviously the fact that these sites are being built to send these missiles somewhere, even if they're defensive in nature, is very concerning. Why? Because look, here's where the missiles are located. If they are medium range ballistic missiles, they can hit a lot of the southeast part of the United States, including up to Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. If it happens to be intermediate range ballistic missiles that are being put here in Cuba, the range is very much further. Almost the entire 48 states can be hit by